Hello, and welcome. This week, as you know, is International Coaching Week. And in honor of that, I'm interviewing a different coach every day to celebrate the world of coaching and the positive power it can have on people's lives and careers. And today I'm joined by Claire Dale, very experienced coach and founder of the Physical Intelligence Institute. She has extensive experience working with leaders from the worlds of performance, from art and business, where she helps people achieve more for themselves. Welcome, Claire, and where on earth are you?
Well, I've stepped in whilst on a camping holiday. I'm in Dorset in England, and of course, raining. And you might hear horses. I think there are some horses in the next field, and there's something going on in horse world. But I'm on my last day of a camping trip, and actually it's lovely to pop up out of that world and have a chat with you, Tracy. So thanks for asking.
Well, thank you so much. And such is your dedication to spreading the word of coaching that you've joined us from your holiday, for which I'm very, very grateful. So tell us, I know we're going to talk a lot about coaching and your experience of, but you're also the co-founder of the Physical Intelligence Institute. So tell us a little bit about physical intelligence and what it has to do with coaching.
Yes. Well, we set up the Physical Intelligence Institute, funnily enough, to help coaches learn to work with the body, with their physical intelligence clients. And as many people increasingly understand, if we leave the body completely out of our coaching, then we're limiting the depth and the pace of change that we can get, because all of our experiences are written in our bodies. Our memories they're like chemical imprints that come alive the minute that we remember something or see something that reminds us of something else. And so linking our narrative, our past, our present and our future to the sensations and the states that we are in our bodies, and being able to learn to change that state or work with it, actually starts to literally free up some of the chemistry behind change.
Oh, sorry, that's my dog. Hold on. Right, I'm going to boot him out. Hold on. Out you go. Out. Right. Sorry. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it's something that in coaching, people often think that's about business leaders and their head and the brain. But of course, we are, as you teach, we are organic, living human beings, and we feel and we have chemical reactions to stress and pressure. So the Physical Intelligence Institute teaches coaches how to use the understanding of bodies and chemistry, etc., in their coaching. Is that right?
That's right. And really, what we're aiming to do is to help coaches develop a toolkit. A whole series of interventions that they can bring forward, working with the material of their clients, that can help their clients unlock whatever it is that they're there to unlock. And of course, it's quite a new term, and sitting alongside emotional intelligence, which 25 years ago was a very new term and didn't really have much of a toolkit around it. Now the emotional intelligence toolkit is extensive, and you'd be hard to push to find a coach of any kind who hasn't done some work in that area. And what I thought when I left the arts world almost 20 years ago now, and started to coach and train and facilitate leaders, actually anyone I could lay my hands on to practice the toolkit at that point. These were the toolkit then for physical intelligence was tiny, and in fact it still is a rather unknown term. But the fact is, our body always knows what's going on, and if we need to consult, and there's a scientific underpinning to that. It's not something that's esoteric. It's something that's very real and physiological, and that's what we've done. Created the scientific underpinning. That's right there, but we've identified it, the biochemistry of change.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely. And I think you're right in this, we talk a lot about the VUCA world, for those like volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And for that, you need all those tools, don't you? You need the emotional intelligence, and you need the physical intelligence, as well as the intellectual intelligence. So, Claire, you mentioned there that you left the arts world, and I know, because I know you, that you were a dancer. So tell me what took you from the world of dance into coaching?
Yes, so my first 15 years was in contemporary dance, and I developed my contemporary dance company, and we toured internationally. Pieces that were created from my own resources. I fundraised, I led the company, I created the work in collaboration with many other people. And I realized then how, what the skill of leadership was. And I'm sure I made lots of mistakes, but I learned a lot on the way as well. And when I realized that there was this whole world of leadership development, because of what I'd learned in the industry, for example, what I'd learned as an artistic director of a dance company is that if I was moving every day, I was a far better leader. If I was with the dancers in the studio, making sure I was exercising every day, and now I can look back and I can see exactly what chemistry was being released with specific movement interventions. I was just better connected to people. I was more mentally and emotionally stable. I was able to read what people needed far better, and I really realised that so soon. I think I picked up a paper and saw that there was this leadership program that was coming to the arts, very new at that point. I thought, wow, that's fascinating, and I just logged it, and I thought, I'm going to move into that as soon as I'm done here. And then it just ended up that I'd made my last full length work, and I knew I was done with that. When in the contemporary dance world, it's a bit like you all go to the same church, you're speaking the same language. And I thought, I wanted to, be the much more global, universal role, bringing the body much more central to the culture, to society, audience.
Yeah, and Claire, I know you obviously do work a lot in performance and arts, but you also work with some very senior leaders in big corporates and industry. So, and I know you're the founder of Physical Intelligence, but when you talk about coaching, the coaching work that you have either done or do, what were or what are your typical clients?
Well, I mean, I have worked with very high up in one major banks, helping them transition from a backseat role. So the role of supporting a CEO in one of the bank units to actually taking on the role of a CEO for a large area of the globe. And this involved this individual needing to literally step forward to allow themselves to be seen by the rest of the world without wanting to close in on themselves, and really understanding the chemistry of what it is to have all eyes on you, and to be responsible both for the emotional and mental well-being of the people that you're leading, as well as the direction, and be able to balance the chemistry of for women and men, testosterone. We all need to have that strength and commitment to what we're doing and the ownership of our role and the territory. But we also need to balance it with oxytocin, the social bonding and trust chemical that has a very different feeling in the body. And at times in our leadership, we might need to dial up the testosterone and keep the oxytocin just at a level where we can still show we're not taken over by people looking to us for care and support. There's some tough things that need to be done, and we need to hire people to help us do the care and support role. Other times we need to come out with oxytocin, compassion, empathy, social bonding blazing in order to create a company and create a corporation, create a sense of we're all in this together. So that's just one tiny example of how the kind of talking about, and what that means in practice is that for most people, when we close away in our body, we're actually lowering our testosterone level, and this goes beyond the work of everybody that some people may have heard of, and the power posing. We're going into different areas of research because that research was questioned and was a little bit vulnerable when it came down to it. But there's research that shows that leaders that people who open expansive body, able to look around, will tend to step in a crisis, even if they haven't been assigned a leadership role. Now, and so this doesn't mean that you have to have a super athletic body. We're not talking about that at all, but it's about how you occupy the space and how that enables you to perceive that is you. It's down to you to step in and take some action.
Yeah.
And that's really, really important. And there's a whole bunch of other research as well. And you know, oxytocin and testosterone levels need to vary. We need to be able to mix them up as leaders. So getting him to stand tall and find an easy, natural openness, and also getting him to be able to connect with different areas of his nervous system, neurology. And there's just a car coming past. Hello.
For anybody tuning in, Claire Dale is beaming in live from a field in Dorset. Where she's holiday camping. Yes, so
move because he's hovering around trying to ask me directions. Don't ask me. I don't know.
Yeah, so so it's really, so in terms of you know, this week I've been trying to show that there's different coaches for different people, and so you and the Physical Intelligence Institute are very much about, you know, using the power of your body and the chemistry of your, you know, understanding the chemistry of your body and how to kind of hack certain chemicals to empower you at work. And what would be what would you say is like the one thing that comes up again and again in the people that you work with?
Well, gosh, everyone's so different. I mean, I think, you know, I think as coaches, because of the complexity of the world that most leaders are leading in, and that's increasing. I think, you know, the first thing often is, where is their resilience and how are they handling the stress of that? Because, you know, I think many leaders will be reluctant to admit that they're feeling stressed, but almost every leader with the complexity that is challenged and pushed to their capacity, and that's most leaders, are feeling of stress in their body. And in fact, that's an important first sort of survey really to do. How are they handling and building their resilience? And do they have the resources to do that? And I think that's particularly why physical intelligence is having an impact on coaches and the way that they can coach these days, because many coaches aren't necessarily familiar. They might be familiar with stress symptoms, arms, heart rate up, and so on, but not in the chemistry, and not necessarily what can be done about that from a coaching perspective. Without, many of these people are not burnt out. They're not going to their doctors. It's not that serious, but it is debilitating to their clarity of thought, their ability.
Yes, and just because your sound is dropping out a bit, but I'm going to paraphrase, I think, a little bit, or just play back to you what I understand is really that, you know, in terms of today's world, I mean, we have been living in what they call perma crisis for the last 6 years, and you know, it's so just as human beings, we've been going through a lot of stress, and I think, you know, in order for people to perform, I often say you can't expect to perform like a Formula One car if you treat yourself like a knackered old tractor. So what I'm hearing from you is, like, if you're a coach who's watching this, you can learn from the Physical Intelligence Institute techniques to help your clients build that resilience and be able to hack their system. And if you're somebody who's interested in being coached, then, you know, one thing to look at is if your coach is physically intelligent or able to pass along those techniques. Is that right?
It is absolutely right, and I hope my sound is okay as I say that. You know, I think it's a very powerful thing to have the essential science underneath this. That's the empowering piece, both for leaders and executives who want to learn more and have their own physiology working for them. As I said, the Formula One image rather than an old tractor. And, you know, we tend not to know very much about the internal workings of the, and yet if it was a Formula One car, or if it was a car that we bought that we love driving around in, we'd be reading the manual, we'd know how it works. So I think it's very important to bring the knowledge of the body and physiology back to people, and we've had incredible results. You know, a few people I'm thinking about very high up civil service here during you know, just in feeling necessarily functioning with the complexity going on. Honestly,
we're losing you a bit there, Claire, but I know you've had incredible results, and I mean it's something that it makes sense. I think, but I think a lot of leaders just think that they can go on and on and on and on and on, and they just don't have any time for it. But actually, the clever thing, the smart thing, is to really fuel yourself and have those pit stops and have those ways of, you know, the metaphorical mechanics coming in to change your wheels. And that's what physical intelligence, those physical intelligence techniques and the science that you've written about and teach, that's where that really, really helps. Listen, we're coming to the end. I wanted to ask you what I'm asking all the coaches that I speak to this week. What are your top tips for people if they are looking for a coach? What would you say?
Make sure they can help you with your resilience and work with the body and get you to tune the body. Because if you're not do that, then you're likely not to be at the peak of your performance. And it's not just about fitness, physical fitness and exercise. It's about work and change your inner state. So make sure they know about the body. Make sure they can work with your inner state as well as your emotions and your cognition. So that's a few top tips in there. And then you know, breathe well, learn all about breath. It's the foundation. Meditate. You might think that that's something that comes far from an Eastern world. Meditation is a life-changing and mind-changing and state-changing activity. So encourage you to do that. And I think the final thing is just you know, have a look at the neuroscience as well. Make sure that your coach has a good idea of how what makes those connections and what makes a human being work and what helps them learn and what helps them change.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Claire. So if people want to find out more, should they just Google the Physical Intelligence Institute or what?
Yes. So physicalintelligenceinstitute.com is a great place to go. If you're a coach wanting to look at what we're offering in terms of our online training courses, then you can go to coachwithpi.com. And I'm on LinkedIn. I'd love to talk with you. You can have a look at Claire Dale on LinkedIn, and I'll happily connect you with others and so on, and keep that ball rolling.
Wonderful. Absolutely. I'll put all of that in the post as well. But for now, I want to say thank you so much, Claire, for joining us from your camping holiday in Dorset and sharing with us the value of coaching and your particular field in terms of like spreading the word, teaching the word about physical intelligence. So thank you very much, Claire.
Thanks, Tracy.